Hey guys, I'm Lisa Stelly and I'm the owner of Fancy Sprinkles. Today I'm going to show you how to make my favorite box cake recipe. Now you're probably thinking, I'm a baker, I don't use box cake mixes, so maybe this is not for you. But for those of us who don't necessarily have all the time to bake or we're not professional bakers, sometimes box cake mixes are really easy and they're the way to go, and I know how to make them really good with swapping out just a few ingredients. So I'm going to show you how to do it. Almost all box cake mixes call for water, eggs, and oil. It really matters the quality of the ingredients that you use. The first thing we want to do is grease our pans. A lot of people like to use butter, but I don't really think it's necessary. I'm using 3 different 6-inch pans just to show you. Sometimes, you have mix and match at home, but it doesn't really matter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some coconut oil spray instead of butter, and I'm just going to kind of heavily or liberally spray each pan. Works the same way as butter. And then your hands don't get all greasy from butter. So after we spray our pans, we're just going to add some flour in there, and this will keep the cake from sticking. So you can just put a decent amount, and then you just simply turn it to where it gets all over the sides. You want the flour to completely coat. You want to shake it. Shake, shake, shake. It's coated inside. And then I'm going to dump out the excess flour in the trash. So now our pans are greased and floured. They should look like this. You set them off to the side. So I'm just using any box cake mix brand. It doesn't really matter. They're kind of all the same. First thing, you want to pour it into sort of a wide mixing bowl. Next, we're going to add 1 cup of room temperature water. I'm going to put in my secret weapon, which is some vanilla bean paste, which I really like a lot more than vanilla extract. I'm not going to measure this because stuff is delicious. You honestly can't even put in too much. The next thing that I'm going to put in is my eggs. Now, this is a really important step. I like to use pasture-raised eggs because whenever the chickens are pasture raised, they're eating bugs and all the things that they should be eating. So therefore the yolks are a lot richer, so it's gonna make our cake taste even more rich. I think it's a really important step, and I actually notice the difference whenever white eggs or not brown eggs are used. So I'm gonna be a daredevil and crack them right into the bowl. Hopefully I don't get any shells. This recipe calls for 3. So I'm just following the recipe that's on the box, but I'm just using more premium ingredients. The recipe calls for vegetable oil, but I find that canola oil can taste sort of like rancid, or it has a weird flavor sometimes. What I really, really love to use is refined coconut oil. I got this one at Whole Foods. Don't use raw virgin coconut oil because it tastes like coconut. When it's refined, it has no coconut flavor, and it's a really velvety, rich oil that gives the cake a really nice texture and flavor. So since coconut oil is solid at room temperature, you have to melt it. So I like to put it in the microwave for about 15 seconds just to get it liquid, and then I measure it and pour it in. Works great. So now my coconut oil is nice and melted. It's actually not hot. So the recipe calls for ½ cup. So that's what I'm gonna do. Now we just have to whisk it together. Every time I make these box cakes and then I make my homemade frosting and put it on them, people say, oh my gosh, this is like the best cake I've ever tasted. And I'm like, it's Betty Crocker. So there's that. And they're always really surprised. So I like to whisk this really good to get all the lumps out. You can see all those nice vanilla bean flecks in there from the vanilla bean paste, so that makes it look even more homemade, which I love. You don't have to tell anyone that you use box cake mix. It's our little secret. So I'm just gonna pour it directly into the pan. I like to pour a little bit of each into each pan, and then take the spatula and then even it out at the end. See which one needs a little bit more, which pan didn't get enough love. So this one looks like it has the most. So now we just want to tap the pans down just to make the cake mix go down to the bottom of the pan. these look about even. So there you go. Now I'm just gonna put them into my preheated oven for the time the box tells me to, but I actually like to go about 3 to 4 minutes under what it's saying, and then I check it, and then you'll know it's ready when the top bounces or you insert a toothpick and it comes out clean. So I'm gonna put them in the oven now. So I just got these out the oven. They've been resting on the counter for about 10 minutes. I may have cooked them just a little tiny bit more than they should have been cooked, but that's okay. So I'm gonna take my offset spatula, or you can use a knife, and I'm just gonna run it around the edge of the cake just to sort of separate the cake from the walls of the pan. And then I'm gonna slightly just go around and lift a little bit just to sort of loosen it. And then, there we go. I'll do that to my other two. Lift, 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 lift. You don't want to do this when your cakes are super hot, or else they will stick to the bottom of the pan and you will lose massive amounts of cake. So you want them to cool down before you attempt this part. Perfect. So that's it for my cakes, and I'm gonna do another video where I show you how to make a really good frosting and how to stack and tort crumb coat, and then eventually smooth coat these with frosting. So stay tuned. They smell so good.